We're live. Welcome to the Hammock Hangout. I'm here with, oh my god.
It's Keelyn.
Keelyn, sorry. I was going to say Kendall because we were just talking about Kendall Jenner and influencer marketing.
True, we were.
Keelyn Lewis, and she's the head of Talent and Brand Partnerships for Cherry Pick Talent, an amazing brand. And I was just like looking over it. They work with huge brands like Apple, Bacardi, influencers like F2, which is a big favorite of mine. I'm a big soccer
really
fan.
Football, they call it football.
Yeah, football, of course. And
yeah.
it's just, oh my god. I watched that video with the Bacardi, the shots of Bacardi they were taking.
That was a good one, eh?
That's definitely something to check out. So, yeah, I'm sitting here, and well, tell us a little bit about your role in Cherry Pick Talent, how you got involved, how you got started, and what you do kind of day to day.
Sure. So maybe I'll kick off with what Cherry Pick's all about. We are an influencer marketing agency. So we are pretty much the brokers between amazing talent and businesses and brands that really want to promote through influencers. So very new age, it's evolving every second of the day, but we work mainly on the platforms of YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook. And we're delivering branded campaigns on those platforms. So that can be like a solid Instagram post, that could be a full dedicated video about a brand, a little shout out, so like a 90-second. It really varies on what the brand's goals are and what they're interested in doing. It's really exciting, it's ever changing, it's wild. Every day is absolutely insane, but it's lots of fun. Myself is what I do. So I'm kind of the liaison between the brands and the talent. So we work with a plethora of different brands that all have different, game plans, and then talent who we pair with. So we have relationships across the globe. So mainly in the US and the UK, but it extends to all across Europe, Australia, and more. So I focus on the North American side of things, but we do have our head office out in the UK and a team out there. So yeah, it's really exciting and fun.
That's super cool, and it seems like such an interesting and emerging kind of role in this market, and especially in marketing in general. With all these huge brands and huge influencers, what's kind of one of the favorite campaigns you worked on, or maybe brand or influencer you worked with?
Sure, yeah. I think what's really cool about this job is that you can sort of see your work live. I mean, especially when I started off with my family, they really didn't understand what it was. And this is like 3 years ago when it was really, really fresh. So it was a lot easier when I could just take a YouTube video that we created with a YouTuber and showed my dad, and he's like, oh, okay, like I sort of get it. It's not, people like to think that it's the pre-roll ads that come first. It's not that. It's like very organic, authentic content that's been wrapped into the influencers' general content that they've already created. So it's a lot more fun than that. It's not like a Coke can product placement either. It's like they're endorsing it because they really like it and they're a fan of it. So my favorite, there's been so many. Recently we worked with General Mills, so that's probably my favorite, on a Honey Nut Cheerios campaign. Honey Nut Cheerios, nice. Yeah, one of my favorites, and it was really neat because we worked with 45 different talents, so all across the US. And what was neat is, I mean, obviously it's such a well-known brand and a well-known name that everyone was so down to get involved and really excited about it. We did some really cool stuff on YouTube, pretty much took it over. So that's probably my favorite at the moment, but hopefully more to come.
Tell us a little bit about the campaign and what was behind it.
Sure. So especially with a bigger brand like that, they'll have their whole strategy team that comes up with a general overview of what they want to do, and then we'll put together a proposal, explain how we're going to do it and how we're going to kick ass at it. So this one, we're obviously in Canada, so we don't see the boxes, but in the US right now they have an awesome, it's called Be Good Rewards campaign going on. So essentially it's like 3 big celebs that are on the box. It's Lucy Hale, Rob Gronkowski, and Michael B. Jordan. And they each picked us a charity team, or a charity story to represent. So one's Feeding America, one's like a sports charity, and the other is ASPCA for animals. So they're each very different. And essentially how they're getting the consumer involved is on the back of these specially marked boxes, they call it a buzz coin. So you just go to their website, you sign in, you scan the buzz coin, and then essentially you win prizes, but also you get allotted a certain amount of buzz coin. It's like 100, between 100 and 500, and you donate that to your team. So then the team with the most buzz coin, this is a 6-month campaign, but at the end, their team will get 100 grand donated to the charity, and then the second place 50, the third place 25. So it's a really, really interesting marketing campaign that they've come up with, and then we've endorsed through influencers. So of course they have celebs that everyone loves, but what really people resonate with are these influencers right now, right? So we've got all different verticals, gamers, family talent. I don't know if people watching here watch YouTube, but there's some big guys in there like Colin Ski, Colin Sapp, Wenji. We're working with all the big dogs out in the US. So yeah, it's been super exciting and cool.
It's so cool, yeah. Especially being involved, and I'm sure I'm less involved in the kind of YouTube atmosphere, but like at soccer and stuff like that is super interesting, and how that gets involved, and even like having big movie star like Michael B. Jordan.
Yeah, I would have loved to meet him, but we didn't get the chance.
Maybe one day.
Yeah, maybe I can just drop.
He'll be in this hammock one day.
Yeah, I think he'll probably be here next week. I'm pretty good at this.
That's really awesome. Yeah, along with that, so I think one of the big kind of trending topics right now on social media is talking about the Fires Festival, especially now with the Netflix documentary that came out about it, and just kind of all the scandal. What do you think the role of, or what are your thoughts on the influencer marketing campaign that was done by Fire Festival to promote it, and kind of like the backlash, and how's that affected influencer marketing in general?
Sure. I don't want to endorse it, but whoever was behind it is geniuses that they somehow built this up through social media, and then it was terrible, whoever's seen that documentary. But my thoughts on it is that it does kind of shed a bad light on the influencer marketing realm, when we really are very dedicated to creating very authentic, real, legitimate content. So in that part it makes me a little bit sad and upset, but good on them. It's wild. I cannot believe they did it, and I don't know if you haven't seen it, but when you watch it, it's pretty neat that they did take all these really wicked celebs, and it just shows, it literally is actually a great case study to show how powerful influencer marketing is. That all these people were just looking at famous stars or celebs, maybe they're not celebs, but celebs in their own right with Instagram celebs or whatnot, and they trusted them. And that's really what influencer marketing is about trust and professionalism. And I mean, these influencers didn't really know either, right? They were just going off of what they were told, a brief, so we can't discredit them at all. But the backlash that has come is nothing really crazy, except I think the big thing that's sort of already been revolutionizing though is ad disclosure. So you'll see a lot now in Instagram posts or YouTube videos that it'll be like, this video is sponsored, or hashtag ad, hashtag sponsored, whatever the case may be. That's just going to keep being cracked down on. The FTC, which is the Federal Trade Commission, really follows that, and they're really focusing in on that now, especially because of this all coming to light.
Oh, that's really interesting. And
yeah,
I think it's, from my perspective, might be a bigger role for the agencies to be involved with influencers as a kind of middle person, to make sure that the organization or the campaign you're working with is trustworthy and everything's going along smoothly. So
exactly, and these brands and clients trust us to be able to tell them what the proper disclosure is, and making sure that we're holding these talent accountable. And that's of course what we do and what we really strive and are proud about. So yeah, absolutely, that's a big part of it.
That's awesome. Kind of moving on to, what do you think influencer marketing plays into a bigger marketing campaign in general, and how that plays in terms of digital products such as apps or websites? Or
yeah, absolutely. This is sort of a tricky question. We were sort of chatting before, and I do think that influencer marketing is very consumer facing, right? So it's like showing off a product or something that they love, and what you've come to know, and you like you said, you have favorites too, is that you really feel this attachment and relationship with these unique influencers because they are real, they're raw, they're not always photoshopped. I mean, now it's kind of gotten out of control, but they really just do tell a story, and you can really relate to them. And I think that that's what's really skyrocketed in influencer marketing. So it is consumer facing right now, but I do think, like you said, it's going to kind of build out into more business strategies, and that's going to stream past that and more towards business to business maybe. Not something I really know that much about yet. It's sort of, like I said, this business is evolving so much that it's like you are learning every day as far as those go, but I can't see there stopping anytime soon, so I'm sure it's going to kind of stream into that for sure.
Yeah, I think it's definitely something that crossed our mind, and not to do influencer marketing, but what are the roles of influencers on LinkedIn and things like that? How can we leverage them? How just popular people on LinkedIn, it's could we somehow connect with them, and just something that crosses people's minds. But I think as the industry continues to develop, we'll find out more.
Yeah, absolutely. Imagine that. There's going to be hashtag ad on LinkedIn.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm sure there will be, but we haven't really tapped into that yet. We really just stick to YouTube, Instagram, Facebook. It's not even Snapchat now.
Exactly. Do you think there's any aspects of design that go into an influencer campaign? Is that something that crosses your mind, working with brands or working with the influencers themselves when crafting a campaign?
Yeah, absolutely. So kind of at the beginning workings when we are strategizing with the brand, like I said, someone like General Mills will come with a full-fledged strategy, whereas others will be okay, let's try this. We have no idea what we're doing. We trust you to kind of help build this with us. So we definitely hone in on that and see if there is something specific. If they do have certain branding or design that they really want to make sure that it's consistent. And there are brands like that where, like, for example, an Instagram post, they're all going to have the same filter and whatnot, so they really look alike. And we're happy to accommodate that, although we always kind of suggest, and the talent will too, and because we work so directly with them and totally understand where they're coming from, so we are definitely talent and brand side, right? That's why what's so great about us is we're unbiased. We're really just looking for the best interest for both parties. We've always found that influencer marketing has worked because it's authentic and because it's organic. So the second we start really trying to put in all these ideas into talent's head or making them follow a specific regimen as far as like a photo goes or like a video, the response from their audience drops. So we really try to keep it authentic. Of course, keeping in mind what the brand wants to do, but there's a lot of back and forth with the talent and the brand, and we really work through these concepts together to make sure that both are happy with it.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty smart to like bring out the authenticity.
Yeah.
And not try to hide that or at all.
Exactly, and like newer brands, when they come in, they have this very like hard idea that this is how it's got to go, and like they're very dead set on one concept, say like on unboxing on YouTube or whatever, and it's like, well, that person's really not into that. Like, we can do it, but it's going to look very off to their channel.
Yeah.
Probably going to get some backlash from their fans. You're better if you kind of intertwine it this way or whatever. So yeah.
That's so awesome. And so, kind of like, this is my favorite part. What are like the tips you could give, let's say, a company that is considering, they're on the edge, on the verge of going to influencer marketing, and I guess starting off with what type of companies could benefit from it, and then what would you suggest for someone that's looking into influencer marketing?
Yeah, so we work with a realm of different clients and different agencies and different verticals. So I don't think it's stuck on one specific thing. Like we did say, very consumer facing. So like products that are to sell, or we work with a lot of mobile gaming apps. They have a lot of budgets, so we like them. I don't think they're tips. I think it's worth it. I think you got to give it a shot, especially in this day and age. TV's really going down, obviously. This is, you got to kind of follow the trends. So tips would be definitely do your research, and a lot do try to do it by themselves, and we give them full credit. But you learn very quickly that it doesn't always pan out as nicely as it looks when it's done.
Yeah.
There's a lot of behind the scenes. I'm not kidding you when I say there's probably like 100 emails between one campaign. Like it's crazy back and forth because you are dealing with total humans and creators and people that have come into this business, and they're also paving a path that they didn't. Some have just like not fallen in. They've worked very hard to get there, but they're also just sort of learning how to work with brands and learning like deadlines and such. So you definitely want to do your research and make sure you have a strategy going in rather than just sort of throwing it and hoping it sticks, which is something that our agency will help you with experience, and making sure you are finding legitimate talent. I mean, the talent we are promoting and explaining and trying to get our brands on board with, because we're not an agency, we do not represent any talent exclusively, we don't really have a biased opinion. So we're really trying to find the talent that we think are actually going to give them an ROI. So if you're not working with an agency, my tip is to definitely go and do some research on the talent themselves. Obviously, we're coming into an age where everyone really likes the idea of being an influencer, which I give them full credit for. But that also comes with a little bit of fraud and fake followers and fake likes and stuff like that. So sometimes you're like, oh, sweet, this talent has 500,000 followers, and then you look and they have 3,000 likes. That doesn't really resonate, right? That should be way higher. So my main thing is do your research.
Yeah. And it seems like your role is a lot of educating both sides, but educating the influencers on how to work with brands, and brands how to work with influencers. So it does seem like a lot of work on your part.
It's all fun. Honestly, this job is wild, and I love every second of it, but it's crazy.
That's so cool, and I'm guessing you get to meet some crazy people as well.
Yes, absolutely. We have some really cool opportunities I've got to go on. I got to go last year to the Sony studios with some YouTubers, and we filmed there. And lots of travel, but it's really neat. There's a lot of cool stuff about this.
That's really, really cool.
Yeah.
And then on the other side, let's say you're up and coming influencer, maybe a micro influencer, you might say 10,000 followers or whatever it might be. What are kind of some tips you would give them to keep growing, to work with brands, or maybe someone aspiring to be an influencer?
Sure, yeah. That's a tough question.
Yes.
I would say be consistent. So you have to be consistently uploading, growing that follower base, really connect with them. So if that's doing live Instagram, you guys are nailing it. Or if that's collabing with other maybe micro or mid-sized talent, they can sort of shout out about you. Or I think really the main thing, I'm thinking more so Instagram here, but also YouTube, you need to be consistent with your posting, because the second you're sort of like not posting as often, people are dropping off. So you catch steam really quickly if you have like your own strategy as far as like, okay, what kind of like, what kind of brand what kind of way am I going to brand myself? So am I, you know, an athlete in my F2 that's going to show you football tricks, or am I going to show you beauty tricks, or am I just like a wilderness travel gal? You sort of need to have a clear idea, of what you sort of want to market yourself as, and then from there you try to pair with people that are similar as far as what kind of vertical you're in, and then grow from there. Did I answer that full question?
I think that's a really great point, especially kind of finding your own niche. It seems to me more and more as if you want to partner with brands, if you have a good niche you're working with, it's so much easier to get a brand to like go with you. Let's say it's makeup, and then you get makeup brands following you. If it's as a wilderness gal, then you can get like wilderness like brands.
For sure.
If you're like a general lifestyle, it might be a bit harder from what I see. I don't know what your perspective is on that.
Yeah, I mean, I guess if you're lifestyle, you can kind of cover all your bases with that.
True.
But the same thing is like people will follow specific people because they resonate with it. So you just have to find, like you said, a niche that you're going to find an audience that really clings to you. And this is why if you're too broad, it's a little bit hard to, you know, find that key resonating tool or whatever the case may be. But yeah, I encourage everyone to give it a shot.
Try to become an influencer today. And then any advice, let's say on a marketing student or someone looking that wants to go into the influencer field industry, and it's a growing industry, so maybe there's opportunities opening up.
There's absolutely going to be opportunities growing up. Of course, we're in Winnipeg, and influencer marketing maybe isn't like the biggest place here yet, but, and maybe even in our company you can apply in the future. But advice, hustle hard. You've got to definitely be on your toes. It's such an ever-changing industry that requires you not to work just a 9 to 5. Of course, you're running campaigns on the weekends. You're working with so many different time zones. So it's definitely something you got to be prepared to put in the long yards. But like I said, it totally pays off. It's very, very cool to see your hard work out there in the public eye. And yeah, it's exciting. I would just say really work hard.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's good.
That's great advice. Let's see if I have anything else I missed. Any other things you want to say to people, or anywhere they can reach you at, or what's the best way?
Absolutely.
If you're a company or an influencer.
Yeah, you can definitely hit us up either way. We're happy to connect you if you're an influencer with brands. We're always working with, you know, 15 or 20 plus at a time. So there's definitely an opportunity to get you involved. If you're a brand and you don't know much about influencer marketing, or you know a lot and maybe you're thinking about switching over, then definitely hit us up and we can at least have a chat. You can reach me at Keelyn, Keelyn, at cherrypicktalent.com, or you can check us out on the website at www.cherrypicktalent.com.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's everything from me. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you for hanging out with us. And catch us next week on the Hangout. It's been an honor.
Oh wow, that's
it really has been. It's such a cool upcoming industry, and you guys do great work, and it's really awesome to be in the same office space. So.
Yeah, it's been fun. Awesome. We got lots of fun here.
So until next time, thank you guys for tuning in.
Bye.